Wait, that's a long way of me saying, I told you, girl, I could keep you forever and a day. But a long way of saying we got to take care of ourselves. We got to. And if
Mm-hmm.
you want to put me on meds, it's not happening today without me knowing the reason, how long, and what the side effects are.
Nope.
I ain't doing shit.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I
Yeah.
love it.
Girl,
Absolutely.
I know you didn't come here to hear all that. I'm
I
sorry.
love it. Are you kidding me? I love this. This is what it's about.
Like a revolution of women that were born in the 60s. Like we're rising up. We're not sitting down like a sinking ship.
No,
We
no.
we found carnivore. Ahoy, mates.
I bought a shirt that says my pronouns are carnivore. One of the
Uh,
guys I follow on Instagram was like, "Oh, I love your t-shirt." And so he sent me the link to buy. Yeah, he sells them. So I was like, "Oh,
oh, can you
oh
send
great."
me the link and I'll include it in the show
Yeah, I
notes?
gotta find it.
Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. This is Rose AJ back in the studio, y'all, with another story of transformation in the making, transformation in the landing, transformation hitting the rooftops. All right. So get this, get this, get this. I have Miss Becky here from Rebecca Loves Ribeye. You can find her on Instagram as Rebecca Loves Ribeye. You can also find her on YouTube as Rebecca Loves Ribeye. And as you guys know, I love to reach out and connect with people my age, maybe older, virtually, and share their stories of transformation. And so, since you are on the Carnivore Connection today, where you have soulful and heartfelt conversations, Miss Becky is going to take the conversation away. And
Thank you so much, Rose. I'm so excited to be here, and I really appreciate it. I My journey started. I'm going to go back a little bit. I started when I was a kid. I had this itchy rash forever, and nobody knew what it was. Took took like 14 years for the doctors to figure out what was wrong with me. So it started at age 7, and I got diagnosed at 22 with dermatitis herpetiformis, which is a form of celiac disease, but it manifests as a terribly, horribly itchy rash. It looks like poison ivy. So we had been camping when it first started. So my mom thought I had poison ivy. She's throwing calamine lotion on. It wasn't doing anything, of course. And eventually, I mean, they did take me to the doctor, but they just would put creams on it, and that didn't do anything. So that finding out that I had celiac at 22, I'm now 59, and I had to start a gluten-free diet, and I was kind of devastated. It was 1987. Of course, they didn't have all the gluten-free stuff now. Like you had to go to the Whole Foods. There was like one Whole Foods in the whole state of Rhode Island, and like the specialty stores that cost $1 million. And I was in college. I was like poor. So I was eating rice cakes with like peanut butter and jelly, and trying to figure out what had gluten in it and what didn't. Like it was just horrible. So that's just kind of my backstory on trying to figure out food as a health way of healing, I guess. And so I just kind of, and I was always trying to lose weight since I was like probably 10, when the doctor said, "Oh, you're 10 pounds overweight." And then I was like, "Oh, guess I need to," and I'm 10. I'm like, I guess I need to eat carrots and celery. Like I had no idea. Like, okay, because it's the 70s. I'm eating like all the crap. My parents bought us the sugary cereal, and I ate tons of candy. I have tons of cavities from when I was a kid. My dental health is so much better now being carnivore. That kind of sent me on the journey of food as a health thing, I guess. And I wanted to lose weight. I always wanted to lose weight. I did the Weight Watchers, restricted. I used to smoke cigarettes when I was older. So I thought instead of eating, I would smoke cigarettes. Thank God I quit that horrible habit. Um, And I just, I would restrict it because I have it. And the fat free, doing the fat free, that makes me so mad to this day. Like finding out that like fat doesn't make you fat.
Remember Susan Powder?
Yes.
Susan, it's not the fat. I mean, it's not the food that makes you fat. It's the fat that makes you fat.
I
I was
had her
so
book.
obsessed with her. No, I had her tapes. I followed her. I was just like completely obsessed.
Yes.
And now you and I probably eat all the fat and then some.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I know. I did it all. I was like, oh, that sounds great. What a great idea. Yeah. So that when I think about it, it just drives me nuts. I used to eat like horrible fat-free cream cheese. That was like, I felt like eating plastic. And then because it tasted so horrible, I would throw jelly on it. So let's just add sugar on top of sugar and and let's see. Oh, and then after I had my son, he was like 12 pounds, 6 ounces. He was giant. This was my second child. And then a year later, I found out I had hypothyroidism. So just add that in. So I'm like, oh, this is why I'm, always up and down with my weight. And so I've been on medication for, let's see, my son is 28, so 27 years. I'm on levothyroxine, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is a type of synthroid. That's the only medication I take besides maybe some, vitamins here and there. So I feel very blessed about that at 59, that I don't have to take other medications. Thank God. Because my mom has osteoarthritis. She wasn't much of an exerciser. My dad exercised. Like I remember him starting when he was 40, and he would exercise because he found out he had high blood pressure and stuff like that. So I was like in junior high, and so I would go jogging with him. I hate jogging. I don't jog anymore ever again. But I do love to lift weights, and I do love my jujitsu, which I love doing. I can't even believe I love doing it. I'm about to schedule my combatives belt test. So that will be exciting. And I'm working towards getting certified in the women's empowerment portion of the Gracie University thing. So then I can teach other women to protect themselves. And also, I have a background. I'm not a therapist or anything like that, but I did go through a trauma program, which was created by Sue Jones in the Boston area. It used to be called Yoga Hope, and then it was the Timbo Collective. And I went through that program to learn about being a Timbo facilitator. Timbo stands for Trauma Informed Mind Body. And so I've been able to use that, and I want to use that with helping women learn self-defense at the same time. So I'm very excited about getting to that and getting certified with that. So yeah, I know I'm kind of all over the place. This trauma.
Girl,
And then
girl, do your thing. Meander. That's my first and middle name. Meander, love. You've got this.
Well, I got into the trauma stuff. And we all have trauma, whether it be big T or little t trauma, doesn't matter. Still affects us the same way. My daughter had trauma as a young teen, and that I didn't have the tools back then to kind of help her as much as I would have liked to. And now, so that's kind of why I went towards learning how to help women with trauma. So I'm kind of excited about getting to add my love of jujitsu with that to keep women safe, so they can keep themselves safe and have that confidence. And I also find like I want to, as I get older, it's not so much about weight. Yes, that's always in the back of my mind. I want to look good. Everybody wants to look good. I want to feel good, but I want to be able to stay physically active. I have grandchildren. I want to be able to play with them. I want to travel. I want to keep doing physical activity and exercise. Because I see my mom, and she has a hard time moving, and she's in pain a lot, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And I know there's a lot of hereditary things with celiac and arthritis and stuff like that, and I do have some arthritis in my knees and stuff like that. But I found when I do eat carnivore that my inflammation goes way down. Now I have a long way to go. I want to get to the point where I can just do like beef, salt, and water and try that and see what happens, just for the healing part. Go ahead.
You
I
looking
see you
for some
wanted to talk.
hardcore seriousness, huh? That lion is about to come out in you. But speaking of that, can you tell us how you if you had a diet history from like 10, being 10 pounds overweight or trying to lose weight since you were 10 and doing Weight Watchers and some other programs, what kind of led you into this space?
Oh, great
Yeah.
question. Thank you for that question. I feel like I'm always trying to research and look for the best way to heal myself. So in 2012, my husband and I did the vegan diet. I know, I hated it. I felt horrible. I was starving.
Even with all of that, did you stick to it for a certain amount of time with the hopes that it would work
Yes. So it
instead of
wasn't,
saying
I
it
feel
was
like
the
it was like,
diet and it wasn't you?
yeah, it
I
was three or
stuck with shit, Becky. Okay, I stuck with shit, saying it's me. I'm the problem. I'm the issue. This diet works. Look at those pretty girls over
oh my
there.
gosh,
They're
I know.
jacked, packed, and stacked. Oh my gosh. It was never me. It was always the diet. But we stuck to them, right? We stuck to them
Yeah,
thinking there
I
would be
think
something different this time. And even if you did it
yeah,
12 times, you start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, got the same results, the same physical ailments, meaning I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm obsessed. Did it 12 times. It never occurred to you never to go back to that again because it didn't work for you. Right? Have you ever
right.
done that? Like with Weight
Yes,
Watchers or
Weight Watchers, I used to do that. Because I always had in the back of my head, well, I know how to do it. So if I gain the weight, I can just go back to Weight Watchers again. And then like the points kind of, I would play these games with myself, right? Oh, I can have this many points. Let me not eat and I'll save all my points for when, like, so I can have nachos and a bottle of wine or whatever. Like literally, like I'll use all my points for that, and then I'll exercise so I can get extra points. And like, I mean, I've always been a pretty good exerciser, so I'm glad about that. But I mean, I went through a point where I was kickboxing like two classes a day. This was in my 40s, and I loved it. It was great. It was a great stress reducer. And yes, I did lose some weight, but like after I just kept doing it, um, I didn't lose weight. I just stopped losing weight. And now I know why. My hormones were probably going, where's the fat? And not eating enough and, doing all this extra exercise, and also alcohol, which seems to be a little bit of my nemesis. Not so much food anymore, not so much carbs and crap. I think at some point I traded the food binging for, I'll just have a glass of wine instead of a dessert or whatever. I do better. Like when I do have alcohol, it's like a very low carb or zero carb. It's like vodka soda, something like that. So that's good.
So I want to bring you back for a live in the future because I always try to look for points where, the guests are sharing their story, where we meet at a crossroads. And you've spoken about binging and alcohol and multiple diets. That's a whole hour of conversation in and of itself that you and
Yeah.
I could share, right? And maybe
Yeah.
help someone else in their journey. But food is no longer just the issue right now. It's kind of like pushed to the side. And I want to share with you and whoever's listening that when you have an addict brain or when you have an addiction of any kind, it doesn't matter what it is, It's an actual disease. It's an actual disease. So I started eating at 3.5 due to childhood trauma. And I kept it going from there. And at some point, it became conscious, right? But it was very unconscious at 3.5.
Yeah.
And so, for a period of time, Becky, I was using alcohol. This is in my later years, like my mid 30s. I was also using alcohol on my work weekends to get through my weekend, being at home with the family and the dog and just chaos, right?
Right.
But when my daughter was 12, I realized that I had to stop. I had to stop drinking in front of her. And I'll tell you about that at a later time. But I had
Yeah.
to stop drinking in front of her because I needed to kind of rein it in. So in that moment, Becky, I chose food because it was neck and neck. Food and alcohol were not competing. They were buddies. And when
Yes.
you have addiction, it's like outlets in your home. You can have multiple addictions playing out at one time. At one time, you can have 15, 5, 10. I had multiple playing out at one time, but I had to make the decision about alcohol because of livelihood and, showcasing that for my daughter, right? But I
Yeah.
actively, consciously said it'll be food. So, but I stayed drinking in other areas of my life, but it was no longer my 2-day weekend regular binging thing,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I don't want you to think that because you are choosing alcohol at this state and food might no longer, have the same pull it did maybe a month or 6 months ago. I don't want you to think that if you put down the alcohol that the food won't pick up again. Do you
Right.
understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you go on with your story, girl.
Yeah. So, so I, so I stopped binging. When did I stop binging? It's been a while since I stopped just like mindlessly, like shoving the food down my throat. I'm not sure what the catalyst was for that, where I stopped doing that. Maybe it was just more awareness around it, and really, it may have been around the time after my daughter's trauma where I kind of had to again pull myself together and heal, you know, my portion of dealing with her trauma, because that was traumatizing to our whole family, not just her. Um, and just wanting to evolve as a human being, I feel like I always want to learn, and I want to be a better person in general. Like I want to, what's important to me now in my life is relationships, is love, is being kind to other people. Um, and remembering to have joy, because I've spent so much of my life torturing myself, beating myself up for not being good enough. And having those thoughts that I used to talk about, like I would wake up, I wouldn't even open my eyes, and the mean negative recording would be in my head. Like, oh, you're not getting up to go to the gym. You're just fat and lazy. These would be my thoughts that would start my day. And what really helped me was going through the trauma program and realizing I didn't have to believe those thoughts, that I could change that recording. So that was huge for me in my healing and moving forward in my life, was like, I don't have to believe my thoughts. Just because a thought comes in my head doesn't mean I have to go down that, that train track or whatever, however you want to think about that. So that's been freeing for me, and it's helped me in my journey of health or weight loss or fitness or whatever, and I want to get to a point where I can get everything under control and not have to worry about it anymore, because I'm doing that thing where I used to be like, well, I'll just go on a diet on a Monday. And now it's like, well, I'm not going to drink all week. And I'm not an alcoholic, but it's a form of relaxation that I learned as a teenager. Like, oh, socially you have drinks at a party because now you're cool and all that stuff. I didn't drink a lot when my kids were little or anything like that. It was more social going out. But then I do realize, like, when my daughter had her trauma, that my alcohol intake went up because I was trying to deal with my own stuff, because we think, it's going to help.
I was going to say that sometimes we get through life, Becky, the best way we can. And when something happens to someone that we love more than our lives itself, we're not equipped to handle it, because you go through life thinking, are we actually going to experience that? We don't go through life being prepared for the experience that your child had, right? And then a lot of times it can re-traumatize us as parents or as loved ones. And we look at it through the lens of when we were 8, 10, or 15, and maybe some similar things happened to us. And if we're not equipped, meaning like you went to the program to find out how to help other women, and whatnot, and you came away enlightened yourself. But if we're not
Yes.
equipped on how to support people, we can be traumatized and re-traumatized, because we're helping them through that 15-year-old's eyes, or that 20-year-old that's inexperienced and never got help through that eyes, instead of being the mom, holistic and understanding that I need to be removed from this to support my daughter as best I can.
Yes.
And then after I support her for that hour, 2 hours, whatever she needs, then go deal with my own trauma, but not do it simultaneously while I'm trying to support her.
Exactly.
Am I making sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I totally get it. It's hard. Life is hard. Right?
Life is hard. Life is hard. I think at some point, through my research or my going down rabbit holes of learning, I started like, oh, I don't know if you've ever heard of the dietdoctor.com. That was like the low carb thing. So I found that and I was like, oh, this is like, and I would like look at all the success stories. So then I started doing the low carb thing, and then, kind of keto. And that's kind of where I kept going. And then I heard about carnivore. And then I think it was the summer of 2022. I was like, oh, let me try this carnivore for 30 days. Cause I've been curious about it. I'm like, everyone just says like they just feel so much better. So I was like, I'll just do 30 days and see. So I did do the 30 days, and I kept going because I felt really good. I think I lost 10 pounds really quickly in the beginning. You know how you lose the fluid, and I was already kind of fat adapted. So I didn't have too much of the keto flu. But I do know if I go off program that I kind of go through it again if I, to get back to where I need to be. I don't even check if I'm in ketosis or anything. I now know how I feel when I go into ketosis. You start learning the physical things that happen. So I usually know that. And I also have, even if the weight isn't coming off like tons, I lose inches. Like I think I've lost since January, where I restarted again more strict. I've lost 15 inches and 16 pounds. And that's not being strict or perfect. I still drink coffee, and I did quit for 2 days one time.
Girl, when it comes to coffee, my coffee. So I get you, boo. But
Yeah,
congratulations on your progress since January. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I've noticed as I've gotten older that I get very, like, if I get a little injury or something like that, that just frustrates me so much, because I feel like it's such a setback. And especially doing jujitsu, although it's the Gracie University way of learning jujitsu is very safe, and you go very slow and you learn it. And and you have to use your brain and your body, and it's very challenging, and I really enjoy that. Like, it challenges my thinking and my physical, and um so that is kind of how I want to be able to do that and feel good physically and have strong strength and energy to continue doing that, you know. So I know there's more healing in this carnivore diet thing. That's why I think I want to really try and cut out dairy, and then just, I'm one of those people who has to kind of like, everything needs to stop. Like all or
Everything.
nothing to start
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
you know.
But when you find that you do all or nothing, are you able to stick with that?
Not always.
Yeah.
It I'm hoping that I see results, like I feel better quickly, so then I can know, and then I hopefully
Mhm.
won't go back to doing other things, or maybe learning to add stuff back in and see if I can tolerate them. But I've noticed that I'm, because of my the autoimmune, is that I I can tell I just don't feel good if I allow myself to have a non-carnivore food or something like that. And I do know with alcohol that's blocking my weight loss, because I know the liver needs to do its job, and it's too busy dealing with, if I have a glass of wine or an alcoholic beverage, that it needs to deal with that first before it's going to metabolize any of my fat. So
So, would you ever consider giving up your alcohol for like a stretch of period, maybe 7 days, 5 days, 30
I
days?
have done that. Like during the pandemic, I did a 90-day challenge. Um, because at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was kind of like, "Oh, it's only going to be 2 weeks. Yeah, it's a party kind of thing." So then I was like, "Oh, this is a little dangerous. I need to cleanse this body out." And so I did 90 days. And I felt really good. And that was prior to me doing carnivore. I was still kind of doing, um, I was still doing like dirty keto. And in 2019, January of 2019, I was lucky enough to be able to have a tummy tuck and a breast lift, because after I had my son, who was 12 pounds, 6 ounces, I was very stretched out. And so they reattached my abdominal muscles, which was very helpful. And I hadn't lost all the weight that I had wanted to at that point, but I did it by doing keto. Um, and uh, I just felt better about myself. I had been exercising and really working hard to get to that point. So I'm glad I did that. I don't have regrets about it. And I was in a good mental state to do that, because it's a 8 week recovery, and you have to not try and do things. So my husband did a great job. He helped me, took care of me. And I didn't drink during that time, because it just, I mean, you're taking all this medication anyway. It's a bad idea. But I know I feel better. I feel like as I'm getting older, and my husband and I sold our restaurant in 22. Um, so we're retired mostly. I do some energy work as well, but I just kind of feel like right now I'm in this middle place in my life. Like, I'm doing the jujitsu and I hope to get the certification and stuff. But I kind of feel like, thank God I have a place to go in the morning. Like, I get up very early and I go to the gym, because I want to feel useful. I want to be doing something. I don't want to just be sitting home watching TV. I don't want to do that.
Right. 6, 7 months of this year steadily under your belt with carnivore. And you mentioned that you're not perfect. I don't think any of us are perfect, right? I always tell people, if you say you are a carnivore, how you do carnivore is none of my business or anyone else's business, right? You know
Mhm.
yourself best, right? So, what does a day of eating look like for you, Becky? What are your food preferences versus intolerances? Because you mentioned autoimmune diseases or
Right.
a disease that you have.
Right.
So, what are some preferences that you have, and then some things that you have intolerances to, but you might still check out every now and again?
Yeah. So I pretty much eat eggs every day. And I found as I've been doing this, doing the carnivore, that I prefer ribeyes as my steak choice. We've gotten other steaks, and I just prefer the ribeye. I just do. I don't know why. It's my fave. Um, but my husband, he's a very good cook, and he's made like some cheaper versions of beef, slow cook them, and they were delicious and just fabulous. So that was great. Um, we recently started making carnivore bread, which is out of the pork rinds and butter and eggs, and it's super simple, and it's like it you get to have like a piece of bread. And so I'll put cream cheese on that. So that's my new favorite, the carnivore bread with some cream cheese. Um, and ribeye and hamburger patties. I, I I like simple. I just want to like have it and move on. So that I like that simplicity part of it. It just I don't have to think about it. Um I found like pork is okay. Like I love bacon, but pork chops, chicken not so much anymore. Like it's so interesting to see where I'm like I just prefer beef now. And beef and eggs mostly. And I like bacon. I don't like bacon every day though. I know people be like, "What?" What are you talking about?
I hear you about the pork and the chicken. You know, our taste buds do change, and the meat, whatever, pork. I eat bacon every day, all day. I can do it. Do you eat one meal a day, 2 meals a day, snacks? How do you do that?
So I I still kind of eat 3 meals a day, but it depends. Like I'll try and like I work out fasted. Yeah, I just can't eat before doing that. And so I don't eat for hours after I wake up. So I try and kind of stretch that out. But being so physically active, I am pretty hungry by the time I get home. Um, so sometimes it's 2 meals, sometimes it's 3 meals. I haven't quite gotten down to the one meal yet. And I think that part of the problem is I don't eat a huge amount at one sitting. I know I've heard you're supposed to eat till you're very comfortably full, and I know I don't always do that.
Well, it sounds like you are doing what's best for you in your daily life. And if it's 2 meals or 3 meals, it is what it is, right? And you don't have to be OMAD. First started, I did the ketogenic diet. I started on December 2nd, 2018. I hit the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting simultaneously.
Yeah.
There was a lot of issues going on there because, like I said, I was still compulsively overeating, binging, being triggered by foods on keto, and the whole nine. But what I did, Becky, quickly understood that for me to stop obsessing about food, because that was my problem too, obsessing, being
Yes.
hungry, obsessing, is that I needed to go to one meal a day. So within a couple of weeks, I would say I went to OMAD, but there were still a lot of problems with OMAD that I had to work out because I was being triggered, right? By those nuts, by those vegetables, by whatever. But it works for me because I'm a volume eater, right? And I knew instinctively that that would be the best route for me, kind of like what you're doing.
Yeah.
2 or 3 meals as needed is what's best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels
So
okay for me right now. So,
good. And then if you choose to change it, you change it. If not, it is what it is, girlfriend. Keep going, right?
you know what? I don't snack at night.
Good,
I don't
good.
snack. I'm not interested in snacking, so I know I'm eating enough for sure.
Right. So where do you see yourself, let's say 3 months from now?
3 months from now, I hope to have all my arthritis, all my inflammation, pains. They're not terribly horrible, but I'd like those to be gone for sure. Um, I'd like to be done with alcohol completely. I would like that not to be an issue. I'm finding it to be a social thing where I think about, well, how am I supposed to, how am I supposed to, it's, the 4th of July is coming. It's somebody's, we're going out to dinner, it's,
Yeah.
and like I can deal with carnivore doing that, which is harder than,
Mm.
I don't know. It's my brain. It's my addiction. It's my
W-
last thing, I guess.
What do you think you would need in order to feel comfortable in society or comfortable in social settings or, celebrating holidays? What do you think that you would need, Becky, in order to get through an event or visiting people's houses or whatever you're doing where you would normally have alcohol? What do you think you would need in order to make it through without sipping the alcohol?
It's so interesting because I have done all those things without drinking.
Mhm.
I have been able to do that. Um, so I have the intellect and I understand what I need to decide.
But sometimes, depending on what our vices are, the decision in and of itself is great and it could get you through one, two, or even 10, social settings. But what I found was what I was having problems with is because I'm really old school. I grew up, in a dysfunctional environment. What happens in this house stays in this house. You don't
Yeah.
need to go tell our business, especially those white folks. And, you're black, you're supposed to be strong and carry all this shit. I believed all those myths, right?
Mhm.
I believed all of that. And so now with me opening up, having conversations virtually, meeting people, sharing my story, people sharing their stories is sometimes accountability works best where you
Mhm.
have a partner, right? You have a partner, whether it's your husband, your daughter, or someone that you connect with socially, where you share for these 10 events that are on my calendar. I will not drink. Maybe you text them and say, I'm having a hard moment, and they talk you off the ledge for just that one time. So
Yeah.
having accountability and support can help, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times our ego, our pride is on the shelf, but I'm taking my superwoman cape off, right? I'm wearing my addictions as a badge of honor, as my superpower. So I want to encourage you to give that some consideration,
I love
that
that. The
if you
super.
really, really want to go for it, right, and remove alcohol because you realize that it's impeding your progress on the carnivore diet,
Mhm.
that you engage, that you enlist someone that you truly love or that loves you and that will support you non judgmentally. Yeah, that might help you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, you're
That's
welcome.
a
Because
great
I know
idea.
you can do it, girl. You've got skills. You
I
got skill. You've got skills. Yes, I get it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So you want freedom from having a sip of alcohol, and you want your knee pain or your arthritis to be in remission or have some relief from that in
Yeah.
3 months to come. All right, girl. Is there anything that I can do to help you with where you want to be in your journey in the next 90 days?
Um, well, it's nice to have another person that I know
Yeah.
who understands.
Yeah.
So if I could reach out to you if I need to, that's
Absolutely.
just knowing that there's someone who understands and
Yeah.
gets it, because
Yeah.
there's like sometimes you're just like, well, who am I supposed to talk to about
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Because there is the shame around it.
Yes. Well, I would even say for me, Becky, even before the shame, it's my pride, it's my ego.
Mhm.
I should be able to do this on my own because when I did tell of my abuse at 10, 11, and 12, they cast me out as the black sheep. Nobody believed me. So I was on my own. There was nobody to support me back then. So who's going to support me now? Which
Yeah.
is really, really unrealistic now that I'm talking about it and breathing it out and working it out, right? It's really unrealistic. There's support systems everywhere in the universe, right? There's support systems, but I was just caught up in that story, in that lie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So I got you, girl. I'll even give you my phone number. I'll text it to you on Insta so we can text back and forth. Is there anything that you would like to talk about that we haven't covered? Because I don't want to keep you, like I said, past the hour because I can do that easily, girl. But
Right.
is there anything that you would like to share about your journey, about the direction you're going? Or any words of kindness, wisdom to anyone who may just be stuck?
I feel very passionate about this. I feel like food can heal. And I think if people just allow themselves to try it, even if you're just like, I'm just going to give it 30 days, like I did, like, I'm like, I'll try it. And then I found like how much better I felt. And then I just wanted to keep going. And also finding support, finding other people who are looking for the same healing or whatever, and just keep watching those are that inspires me, watching other people's journeys and successes, and also doing your own research, because we have to do our own research, because nobody, the government, the doctors, the medical, they're not, I don't want to go there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think they see us humans as dollar signs as opposed to human individual beings. And
Yes,
you got to come out fighting for yourself. Nobody's going to advocate for you the way you can advocate for you.
exactly.
So your mental health, emotional, physical, the whole nine. And doctors just wanting to give you something on a prescription pad, they get kickbacks. I don't care what they say. I don't care if they're giving samples. I don't care if they say that their mama is on it. I don't believe anything that they say without me doing the research first for me,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So I had some tests done back. I'm the good nun patient. So Becky, I have to share with you real quick. So back in December, I had my doctor order up all my labs, right? Because I was scheduled to have my women's annual and my just general checkup in January. So I'm the good person that goes in every year.
Yes.
But I'm like, instead of playing, let me order them first so they will be on your desk so we can do everything all at once,
Yeah.
right?
Brilliant.
So because we are able to access our own records, I can get them before she can a lot of times,
Yeah.
right? Or at the same time. So she had the nerve to send me a message on the board, you know, how they message back and
Yes.
forth,
Yeah. Yeah.
talking about, I am very concerned for you because of your cholesterol levels, yada, yada, yada. And your HbA1c, you're back pre-diabetic. Okay, now mind you, I'm like, what are you talking about? Because this practice was sold after 30 years. It was sold. So this is your first go around with me as far as what do you mean pre-diabetic? I've never been pre-diabetic. It was always 5.6, 5.7, and now it's 5.8. But I knew why it was going up, right? And cholesterol, we need to get you on some meds right away before
Oh
your
my God. My
appointment.
doctor went. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not, I texted her back. I had to wait 24 hours to respond because I wanted to curse her out, right? I texted her back and on the thing and I said, meds are not an option. If anything, it would be dietary protocol because they call me the meat girl, right? They call me the meat girl at the office, which is totally fine. So I go in for my appointment, but between that time, I had asked her to order me a CAC because I wanted everything before I went into her office.
Yeah.
And in Washington State, we can't have that done without a doctor's order because I was calling around trying to get it done without her, but
Right.
it ended up being, I think I was at 4.67 or something. So I had all of this information when I went in and I did Dr. Eric Westman's cholesterol confusion course. I was armed. And this was during the holidays that I did this, right? I got my labs, like everything was done in the nick of time. And I'm like, bitch. So she brought in, she actually asked me, was it okay if another doctor came in to our visit with her because she wanted that doctor to meet me? Yes, to meet me. She goes, you're just an oddity. I've never seen this. I've seen some vegans and vegetarians with worse CAC scores than this. I'm like, bitch, it ain't worse. It's 4.67. That ain't worse. That's close to zero as I'm gonna get right now. I'm gonna keep on eating my meat diet. But anyway, that's a long way of me saying, I told you, girl, I could keep you forever today. But a long way of saying we got to take care of ourselves. We got to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to put me on meds, it's not happening today without me knowing the reason, how long, and what the side effects are. I ain't doing shit.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I love it. Absolutely.
Girl, I know you didn't come here to hear all that. I'm sorry.
I love it. Are you kidding me? I love this. This is what it's about.
Like a revolution of women that were born in the 60s. Like we're rising up. We're not sitting down like a sinking ship.
No.
We found carnivore. Ahoy, mates.
I bought a shirt that says my pronouns are carnivore. One of the guys I follow on Instagram was like, oh, I love your t-shirt. And so he sent me the link to buy. He sells them. So I was like, oh.
Can you send me the link and I'll include it in the show notes?
Yeah, I gotta find out. I think it's JT Carnivore or something like that. He used to be I think he's still like a personal trainer, but he changed to carnivore. So yeah, I'll have to send you his Insta thing.
Okay, I will order one as soon as I get the link.
It's so funny because people are like, what? It's funny. I think it's funny.
Yeah, I totally get it. That is my whole pronoun. Like vegans, vegetarians, they can wear that shit on their chest. Girl, I'm getting breast implants and I'm a carnivore on my chest.
Yes.
Right, my friends. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of the Carnivore Connection. And remember this wonderful, beautiful guest, Miss Becky. Her transformation story is in progress and where she hopes to be 3 months from now. She can be found at Rebecca Loves Ribeye on Instagram as well as YouTube. Go show her some love and support. All right, guys. Love you to the core. Till next time.